Welcome to the 7 Pillar Podcast with Nick Ahmed and Mike Ahmed. We are brothers and former pro athletes who are now on mission to help athletes and coaches grow their mindset, expand their leadership, and elevate their performance.
Do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The truth is that transforming your life begins with transforming your mind. This podcast is built for athletes, coaches, competitors, and leaders who refuse to settle for average, who are ready to live with purpose, build a legacy, and defy the odds. Here, we talk about what it actually takes to live and perform on a higher plane, building your foundation on God and His truth, developing elite standards and eternal perspectives, and becoming fearless in the face of adversity. Because no one hands you a life worth living. You have to build it yourself. And it starts right now.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the 7 Pillar Podcast. Today we got episode 10 for you. Episode 10. Dude, can you believe we got 10 episodes already?
It's going by pretty quick. I love it. Having fun.
Yeah. Every week we're going to keep bringing it to you. Every Tuesday, launching a new episode. Today we're diving into something a little bit deeper. We're going to go over the 7 Pillar Holistic Framework. And just thinking about this, guys, there's a myriad of reasons why athletes fall short of their potential. But today we're really going to dive in at a high level to why most athletes do, why they look at performance in all the wrong ways, and how to have a deeper and more holistic view of what performance is and how to perform at an elite level consistently. So the biggest thing, guys, athletes, coaches, whoever you are, if you're a leader, parent, whatever your occupation, whatever your role is, when we look at things from a hyper-focused standpoint, we don't look at things from the bigger picture, have a deeper perspective, a more holistic overview, we're going to miss, right? Everything's integrated. We need to understand that, and we need to pursue excellence in all areas of our life, not just one or two. So before we dive into that and get really high level with you guys here, just thinking about a story of how 7 Pillars started, why we became not just a mental performance strategy and platform, why we became something deeper. Tell a story for us, Mike, about the one time we competed against each other in college for the listeners here.
Yeah, this was crazy. So this goes back to, I think it was 2011, right? It was your junior year when you were at UConn. It was my freshman year. Yeah, it was
11.
Yeah, it was the one time we got to play against each other in college. We had a couple games in spring training where I backed up big league games, and we got to play against each other a little bit. But this was kind of like the only real official game that we had. And it was a freezing cold day. We were playing in stores at UConn. And
mid-March, I think, right? One of our first home games.
It was mid-March. It was mid-30s for the temp, and it was snowing at parts during the game. So kind of miserable conditions, miserable to be there, but obviously, both of us being competitors, we're there. We both want to win. We don't want to back down. And this was the only time in my career ever, and I'm sure this is true for your career. But after 16 innings, the game ends in a 2-2 tie. It's the only time that I've ever had, I think, maybe ever on a baseball field. Definitely during college. Definitely during my professional career as well. And our parents were there, our grandparents were there, family was there. They were happy to see it end in a tie, but obviously neither of us were pretty thrilled about it. But regardless, it was a pretty wild game. I know there were a couple points where I think it was at least twice that you threw runners out of the plate to cut down either the go-ahead run or maybe we're up by a run or two at that point. But you cut down a couple of our runners at home from the outfield on relay throws. But it was just a crazy game overall. I remember talking about being competitors and just wanted to win. I hit a line drive to right field and getting down the line at first base. I'm rounding the base, obviously not too far. The ball is just in right field, so I know I'm not going anywhere. And as the throw's coming in, it's actually coming back to first base. I'm retreating to the base. I get back on the base, and then your catcher is coming in behind me, takes my knees out. I'm standing on the base, takes my knees out. I fall off the base. I get tagged, and the umpire calls me out. And I think that was the closest I've ever been to being ejected during a collegiate baseball game.
Yeah.
Just in the fight of competition, going against UConn. So that happened, and then again, it's just kind of crazy that we ended a 2-2 tie. But
Yeah, I mean, on the tie aspect of it, the same thing. I think that's the only game I ever tied. And being a high level college athlete and professional, you think you'd never tie in a baseball field. But at the time, UConn, we didn't have lights. And, we
yes,
played so long, 16 inning game, started at about 3 o'clock. By the time the sun was hitting down, it was the 16th inning. We called the game on account of darkness,
yeah,
which is crazy. Since UConn's upgraded their facilities just a little bit and they have, beautiful new stadium, all turf, brand new lighting and all that. But yeah, we didn't have lights back then, and just competing against each other. You mentioned that play at first base.
yep.
I can
You remember
literally
that?
still picture it. I picture it like it was yesterday.
It's
My
unbelievable.
college roommate, John Andrioli, who ended up playing in the big leagues for a little while, was in right field. You hit a base hit to him, and he rifles a back pick back to first base. And it was a play we practiced a lot. Our catcher, Doug Elliott, was
Yeah,
hauling down the line, kind of backing that play up. Our first baseman would trail off. Runner batter would think he's comfortable. He's got that base hit, come back, dap up the first base coach. And our catcher sneaks in for the back pick, catches it, goes to make the tag. And there definitely was a little contact. I don't know how much of a tackle it was or taking your knees out, but I remember standing at shortstop just looking at you and all frustrated over there. I was giving a little fist bump over.
the problem was I was already standing on the base.
Well,
It's the
if
football.
you're on the base and there was contact, maybe the umpires fell asleep or what.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was done.
yeah, regardless, great game. Love getting to compete against you. Wish we could have done that more, but getting to train together every offseason was incredible.
Yeah.
And now diving back into kind of the story of how we started, why we transitioned and not become just a mental performance business, company, organization, platform, training app, right? We have something much deeper. And if you could just walk us through, bro, like what is the reason we decided to go that route and why is it so important for the athlete, the coach, the competitor?
Yeah. So for us personally, I mean, our faith is the driving factor for this, right? Like we obviously want to help athletes and coaches be their best on the field, but everything runs a lot deeper than that. If all we're doing is try to get you better between the lines, then we're not really doing our job as coaches, right? For me, like when I see my job as a coach, it's something bigger than wins and losses. It's something bigger than, hey, how can I help this player get to the next level? All of that's good and that's part of it, but it's only a small picture, right? And what we talk about all the time, I know this word is huge for you, it's huge for me. But we talk about legacy. And if we're trying to like create a complete picture, paint the whole picture of what it means to be excellent, like in this life, yes, we're speaking to the athletes and coaches, but again, we're not just trying to be excellent on the baseball field. We're trying to be excellent in every area of life. But the other side of that coin on the same plane here is that when we do try to train ourselves holistically or live holistically or live well and excellence in all these seven pillars, the natural result is going to be, okay, yeah, now I'm going to be a better athlete. Now I'm going to be a better coach. But if I'm strictly worried about the specific mental skills that I can use in game, or I'm just worried about my skills on the field, sure, that's going to be helpful and we have to do that, but we're not attacking the complete picture. So what we want to do is we want to build the human first. You'll hear it in circles, right? Taking the human first approach. We want to build the person, we want to build the individual. And then from there, out of that, if we have excellence in all of the seven pillars, well, guess what? The natural result is now going to be excellence on the baseball field, not only with your skills, not only with your mindset, not only with your relationships, with everything, all of the above. So if we can get to that point and help coaches and help athletes understand, hey, it's not just about a couple things, it's about all of this. You guys are going to be way better on the field. You're going to have better results that you want, and you're going to also at the same time be creating a legacy that's going to last well beyond your playing or coaching days. So that's why it's so important to us. That's why we're diving into this. And obviously for you and I, we've both seen the results of this in our personal lives. And I think that testament goes a long way. And we want to bring that information, bring that process, bring that framework to all of you guys listening.
Yeah. I love that content, Mike, and just the color you're providing behind why we do what we do, why Seven Pillar exists, why we built our mental performance training app, why we coach guys, why we show up and speak at different teams and schools and organizations. We want to help performance, right? We know that performance is important. It does carry some weight. Wins and losses do matter. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later. But what is more important is the human, is how you are doing as a person.
Mhm.
But on the flip side, right, the ironic part is if we focus on the human first and the performance actually second, the performance just actually naturally starts to get better if you become a more complete human being. So we've just seen it. We've seen it work in our own lives. We've seen it fail, as a surface level approach for mental skills to just be performance oriented and not dig below the surface and look at all these different areas of life. And like I said, everything is integrated. You can't just separate one area from another and not think that they have an effect on each other. So what we're going to do today is we're going to dive into each of the 7 pillars. We're going to talk about them at a high level. We're going to give 3 non-negotiables for each of the 7 pillars, how to build a strong pillar in that area. And then we're going to share some stories of transformation from our own lives inside each one of them. So our first pillar, guys, our first one of the 7 is identity. Okay. We chose identity very specifically for a purpose, for a reason. Identity is who you are. It's not what you do. And it's deeply rooted understanding of just the fact that, hey, my performance is a small part of my life, but it doesn't get to dictate and determine my worth, my significance, my relationships, my mental health, all these things that are really important that carry with us far beyond what happens out in the field. So we got to understand that first and foremost. If we don't, we're creating an identity that's going to succumb us to all the ups and downs and the trials and the adversity of sport and of life. So it's our first one for a reason. It's so important, guys, that you have to take identity seriously. You can't just flow through life not having a clear picture of who you are and who you want to become in this life. You have to take this thing seriously. You have to know who God is, and who God is determines who you see yourself to be as well. So, Mike, you mentioned our faith earlier. That's a driving force of how we've developed an identity that is not performance-based, that is so much deeper, that's so unchanging and unbreakable, that no matter what happens, no matter what we're doing, no matter where we are, we can just stay solid and secure and steady, which is what everyone wants, right? We know we're never going to be perfect. We know there's going to be 2 steps forward and 1 step back sometimes. But we want to stay anchored. We want to stay steady. We don't want to be driven, side to side by the different things that are going on in our lives. We want to be able to be that person who people can count on and depend on. So as we continue to talk about identity, I think it's important, like I talked about, we're going to give 3 very high level, non-negotiable things inside each of the pillars. So for identity, guys, the 3 things we're going to give you, the first one here is non-performance based identity. We have to build an identity that is separate from our performance. We have to take our identity outside of our statistics, the wins and losses, the results, the achievements, the success, the failure, the opinions of other people. We have to take it outside of that performance, how much money we have, how many followers we have on social media, all these metrics and things that people define themselves by, either consciously or even subconsciously, where it just starts to infiltrate their mind and their mood and their thoughts and their emotions. We have to learn to separate ourselves from that. So we talk about a non-performance based identity, or sometimes I talk about it this way as a God-centered identity or a God-based identity. We have to know just the fact that God sees us, He knows us, He loves us, He created us, and He doesn't give any weight to how we perform in our relationship with Him. So when we become a follower of Christ, when we place our identity, our hope, our lives in His hands, He gives us a new identity, calls us a new creation. And then because of that, we're able to now step into this world, into our performance, into the unchanging landscape of whatever we're dealing with, and just be that person that's consistent and steady that people can, depend on and run to and look to for leadership and guidance in all areas. So that's number 1, developing that non-performance based identity.
Quick break from today's episode. So here's the truth. We've done the research, and only 5.1% of elite athletes and coaches are actually training their mind on a daily basis. That is exactly why we built our 7-pillar mindset training app. To join our 7-pillar community and start training your mind, leadership, and performance today, subscribe to our one-of-a-kind training app at app.7pillar.co/memberships. You'll be joining athletes, coaches, and leaders seeking to become the best versions of themselves, both on and off the field. For 10% off your first year, use code PODCAST10 at checkout. All right, now back to today's episode.
Yeah, let me hop in too here, and just to clarify. I mean, I think a lot of times too, the word identity, especially for younger guys, can kind of be like philosophical. But just to break this down a little bit more, when we're saying identity, it's just who you are. And the way that I kind of describe it, I've talked about it on previous podcasts, but think about identity in terms of the three S's, right? So it's your self-worth, it's your standards, and your story. Right. So we have to know, as you mentioned, Nick, where does your self-worth come from? Does it come from what God says about you? Does it come from what other people say about you? Or does it come from your performance? So that's number one. Number two is your standards, right? Like, how do you want to live, right? This is kind of up to you to define for yourself the standards, the habits, the goals that you want to have, right? And then the third part is your story. How do you want to live that out? And again, you have the ability to say and create your own story. So if you're speaking to yourself and you're saying to yourself, all you are is a baseball player, number one, that's not true. But number two is like, okay, when that chapter of your life is over, what's going to happen? Your identity is going to come crashing down. It's not going to be there. And you're going to have to like start over and find something new. So if we can get those three things right, self-worth, story, and standards, we're going to have a really good understanding of our identity and be pretty secure in that.
Yep. I always love when you talk about those three S's. So thanks for adding that in there.
Yeah.
Our second piece, guys, our second non-negotiable in building that identity that we want to have, that strong identity, is knowing that your identity is off limits. Okay. Your identity has to be off limits. You can't let anyone else dictate and speak into and determine your identity. So that's off limits from your performance. It's off limits from other people's opinions. It's off limits from, what the world and culture has to say about you. You have to learn to guard your identity, to keep it off limits from the outside influences that would want to tear you down and destroy you. We talked a few episodes back about we have an enemy, right? We have a spiritual enemy who wants to steal, kill, and destroy from us. We have to intentionally guard and protect ourselves. We talked about putting on the armor of God. That's something we have to do. We have to do that with our identity, with our mindset, with our families, with our lives, with our businesses, with everything that we do on a day-to-day basis. We have to build this identity that is strong, that is sturdy, that's immovable, and it's not influenced or affected by things going on around us. Okay.
Yeah.
So our third one right here, guys, we have to live from approval, not for it.
Nick, I want to hop in, if that's all right.
You got something to add there?
Yeah. So I want to expand on that a little bit too, is the only way that we can make this true, right? The only way that we can say that our identity is off limits is if we know what we actually believe. So if we don't actually know what we believe, if we don't have these foundational beliefs that are really set in stone for us, then it's going to be easy for that identity to be in the wrong thing or to be torn down when we hit adversity. So the word that's coming to mind for me is like we have to know our beliefs, right? And then number two is we have to be uncompromising. So we can't let any outside influence compromise the beliefs that we have decided for ourselves that are based in truth. So we don't compromise on any of that. And because we're taking that stance, we know that our identity is going to stand and our identity is going to be secure.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
No compromising, just full conviction.
Yep.
Okay, so moving to the third one, guys. I talked about it there for a second, but going back to it, living from approval, not for it. What that means, guys, is that whatever we do in our competition, in our life, how much money we make, the success we have, the different things that happen externally, circumstantially in our lives, that is not where we get our approval. Okay. So many times I did this for a very long time in my life. I went out into the world, into the game, into my performance, into my career, looking to be approved, looking to gain my significance and worth from what I could accomplish, the things that I did, how other people saw me because of those accomplishments. And that's just a terrible way to live because those things change all the time. You can't just make people believe and think a certain thing about you. Yeah. It's so far outside your control. You have to learn to be approved first, to know that God loves you and sees you and created you for a great purpose and mission and an amazing life. And then once you're approved, then you can go out into the world and love and serve and create that impact and legacy that you're talking about. So it reminds me again of Jesus's baptism, right? He was approved before he did any ministry. He was baptized and the heavens opened up and God the Father looks down and says, "This is my son in whom I'm dearly pleased." Okay. This is my son in whom I'm well pleased. God was pleased with Jesus before he performed any miracles, before he fed the 5,000, before he opened blind eyes, before he preached any sermons, before he died for our sins, before he resurrected, before he did any of that stuff, he was approved. And then he could go out fully secure in who he was to then actually live the life that he was called to live. And that's the same for us. we have to be fully approved first and then go out with a sense of freedom and power, knowing that no matter what happens, a good game, a bad game, a loss, an injury, whatever happens, I'm already approved. And this thing that happened to me or inside of the game or competition or life, it doesn't get to define me. So learning to live from approval is really big, guys. It's a hard concept, but it's something we want you guys to think about deeply and work on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so good, bro. I mean, the first time that I kind of heard that story in that way based on identity, talking about Jesus and him being approved of before he started his ministry, was honestly kind of like a light bulb moment for me. Is like, this is what God is saying about Jesus before he's done anything, right? And again, that same love and acceptance is, available to us when we step into faith.
Exactly.
I think it's awesome. All right, so moving on to the second pillar here, mindset. Okay, mindset, obviously, guys, is just the way you think. It's the perspectives that you hold, and it's how you choose to respond to what happens around you. Mindset is so important because it ultimately drives all of our thoughts. It drives all of our behaviors, and then obviously when we're on the field, it drives our ability to perform well. So we have to cultivate the right perspectives. We have to cultivate the right thought patterns. And then the second part of this is we really do have to understand the root causes of things like performance anxiety, burnout, mental health challenges. All of that kind of goes in with high performance. So the three non-negotiables when it comes to mindset. Number one is we have to be anchored. We have to be anchored. We have to know our foundation. This kind of speaks to what I was talking about earlier with our beliefs, right? We have to know our beliefs. We have to know what's anchoring us, what's grounding us. We have to know the truth so that we can operate from that standpoint. If we have no beliefs that are securing us, that are tying us down when adversity hits, and I'll say also temptation and success, when those things come at us, right, we're going to be tossed around by the wind and the waves, and we're not going to have this true north, this true guiding principle for us to continue with our lives, whether it's on the field or off the field. And practically speaking, for me, what that looks like is understanding your purpose and having mission statements for different areas of your life. So if you're anchored, you know exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to live in certain areas, in certain times, in certain seasons. And again, it's not once you have that foundation, it's not a guessing game of how you're going to respond or what happens in this season. It's going to help you continue to be secure in your identity, and it's going to help you live well and perform well during any season of your life. So the
That's
first
really good.
non-negotiable, is being anchored. The second non-negotiable to creating an elite mindset here is we have to have gratitude. We have to be grateful. So if we're spending our days, our minutes, and our seconds in gratitude, being grateful, we're going to be present in every moment, which means we're going to get the most out of every moment, right? If we're enjoying what we're doing, and it's not to say we have to have fun with every single thing that we're doing on or off the baseball field, but if we can find a way to be grateful for the little things that we're going through, even the difficult things that we're going through, we're going to have such a greater ability to persevere through those challenges and meet those challenges head on. And again, it's just like, are we looking for the good things or are we looking for the bad things? Once we start looking for the bad things, we're going to find them wherever they are. If we're looking for the good things, we're going to find those too, wherever they are. So obviously, if we're looking for the good things, we find the good things, we're going to have more energy to get through the difficult things, the mundane things, the things that we may not necessarily want to do, but that we know that are good for us in the long run. So that's number two. And then the third non-negotiable here for mindset is we need to have an opportunity and a growth mindset. We need to have an opportunity and a growth mindset. Another acronym I love is ABG, right? Always be growing. If we come into every situation or we just like walk through our life with the attitude of, hey, I'm going to always be growing. I'm going to always learn from the situation. I'm going to always look for the opportunity. Again, just like gratitude, those doors will open to you, right? It's just a matter of what you're looking for. So if we're focusing on the things that are good, if we're focusing on potential opportunities, we're going to find them. Same thing on the flip side, right? If we're looking for the bad, or if we can't see any potential opportunities, right? Well, we're not going to find them. And so it's just a matter of like training our attention to be on the right things. And the better we get at this, the more that we'll understand that our inputs are a huge factor in this, right? So whatever we're putting into our mind and our spirit, from the books we read to podcasts to entertainment to people, those are shaping how we see the world and how we interpret events. Um, and the better inputs we have, the better outputs we're going to have. The more we're going to be able to see, be grateful in certain situations, the more we're going to see opportunity, the more we're going to be able to be willing to grow in certain situations. So we have to be anchored, we have to be grateful, and we have to have an opportunity in growth mindset.
Yeah, those are so good. Gratitude and opportunity are two of my favorite words, two of my favorite
Yeah.
perspectives and things to focus on. Moving on to the third pillar, guys, lifestyle. Lifestyle is our third pillar here at Seven Pillar. Lifestyle we talk about is the way we live out our beliefs and the way our beliefs become visible through the habits, choices, actions, decisions that we make and the environments that we create. So lifestyle is the culmination, guys, of our identity, our mindset. It's how we live out our beliefs, the standards we hold ourselves accountable to. And after we intentionally build that strong identity and mindset, we must allow the beliefs to infiltrate every single area of our lives. We can't keep it to just one area or church on Sunday or at the baseball field. It has to become a holistic thing in every part of your life and everything you do. Okay. If we don't, we're going to miss out on the fullness of life that's available to us and the opportunity for our performance, and not just be performance at the field, for us to actually be able to be excellent in all areas of life with our, family, with our money, with our relationships, with our work, with everything that we do. We have to think it this way. We have to design and create environments that are going to allow us to flourish. So our three non-negotiables in this area, Mike, you want to break these three down for us?
Yeah, yeah. So good. That was a great intro. Again, just that funnel too is like we have to create that identity first. We have to understand our identity first, which is going to feed into our mindset, which is now going to feed into our lifestyle, our habits, the things that we do on a daily basis. So for us to have a really good lifestyle, develop really good habits, these are the three non-negotiables that we have to have. Number one, we have to guard our attention. So our attention is our most valuable resource. In today's day and age with social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, technology, AI, like our attention is so easily distracted, so easily taken away from us. If we don't have that, we're not going to be able to stick to our long-term goals and then the daily tasks that we need to do to fulfill the mission and the vision that we have. So when we get distracted, when we get pulled off our mission, our vision, right, we are not doing the things that we need to do on a daily basis. Our habits are not going to be there. We're not living a lifestyle that is worthy of our mindset and our identity. So in other words, we just have to be disciplined. We have to do what is necessary to become the person that we want to be. Right? We have to have our eyes on long-term success rather than the short-term gratification of the click or the scroll or the like or whatever it is. So number one is guard your attention. Number two here is we have to be consistent, right? It's not just a one-off thing. It's not do it right for a week. It's not do it right for a month. It's not even do it right for a year, right? We have to be consistent over the long haul. Our habits, our routines, those are going to determine the course of our lives. And again, it's like that body of evidence. Those routines and habits are going to build up over the course of many months, many years to really give us the results that we want. So we have to be consistent. And then the third one here is just really important, guys, is we have to prioritize balance. We need to allocate time for work. We need to allocate time for our sport. We need to allocate time for friends and family, for recovery, for rest, for hobbies that we want to do. So it's not always just about work and how you can get better on the baseball field. It's not always about getting in the gym, right? We do have to have that balance. We have to prioritize that balance. And again, this is important because we're talking about developing the individual person. So Nick, obviously your life has changed a lot in the past 10 years. Now you have 3 kids. Just speak to how kids have changed your thoughts on lifestyle and how important habits are.
Yeah, it's a good question. So taking that back a little bit further. So before Amanda and I had kids, I was obsessed and all I wanted to do was baseball and get better and work on that. I loved her, but I just didn't know how to prioritize family in the right way. And I definitely spent too much time at the field. And, part of it was even negative from the standpoint of like, I just overworked. And we have to know how to work hard. That's not what I'm saying. We have to work hard, but I worked too hard. I took too many swings, too many workouts in the weight room. I didn't prioritize rest and recovery. I didn't spend the time I should with Amanda. And then when kids came into the picture, it became even harder because I needed to be home. I needed to help raise them, change the diapers, do the things, now coaching youth sports. Like there's so much going on right now at home. And for me, when I was still playing up until last year, it was like, man, like I don't know how to balance all this. I don't know how to do all of it. And people have talked about, work life balance all the time. And it just makes it really hard, especially when you have a demanding job of, being a pro athlete and doing different things. Everyone has a demanding job to a certain degree, but how do we find that work life balance? And it's hard. And the biggest thing that I learned to do was just have work life presence and just be present wherever I was. So I needed to allocate the right time, obviously, to be at work. And I needed to make sure I allocated time to be home with my kids and with my wife. Well, what I tried to do more than anything is just be present. And whether I was at work, I wanted to be present there and just give all my time and attention and energy and focus to that moment. And the thing was in front of me. But then when I got home at the end of the day, it was like, okay, work is done. I'm putting that away for the night. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with my kids. I'm going to help make dinner. I'm going to put the kids to bed. I'm going to do all these things that really not only fill my kids up, but I also fill me up at the same time too. So I became more grateful. I was more aware of my blessings, and that in turn actually helped me to sleep better. It helped me to recover better. And because of that, I showed up the next day with more joy and passion and energy. So what I'm kind of getting at is how interconnected everything is. When I started to create that better lifestyle, things started to get better in other areas too. So it's just really important that we learn to have that work-life balance and call it a work-life presence at the same time as well. So moving on, guys, number 4, our fourth pillar at 7 pillar is relationships, guys, relationships. I didn't value relationships and people the way I should for a very long time, but as I've gotten older, I've realized that people are important and relationships are important. Relationships are the currency of life. We only truly thrive as people and athletes and coaches if we learn to develop meaningful and healthy relationships. So we have to intentionally surround ourselves with the right people. We have to learn how to grow, become the best versions of ourselves. And then we just have to go out there and serve and make a great impact in the world around us. So, guys, relationships, if you're not focused on them and the people around you and pouring into them and cultivating deep and meaningful ones, we can't stress this enough, guys. This has to be at the top of your list. Your baseball career, your coaching, whatever your business is, all of that's going to end one day, but the relationships carry on. Relationships carry on throughout this life and to eternity as well. So focus on those relationships, pour into the people around you. We're going to hit you now with 3 non-negotiables in developing meaningful relationships. But number 1, the first one is to be intentional. You have to intentionally cultivate great relationships. They don't just happen. They don't fall into your lap. They don't fall out of the sky. You have to intentionally do them, and you have to work hard at them. So you have to choose to spend time with people who are going to encourage you, inspire you, help you, lift you up, support you, be there for you in times of need, celebrate with you, grieve with you, do all the things with you. And we have to just seek those people out. Sometimes we're very blessed and fortunate that someone like that just walks into our life, whether it's a new teammate or a coach or something like that. But oftentimes, and more often, we have to be on the other side of it. We have to seek out intentionally the people that we want to become like and the people that we want to be in our lives. So, Mike, as a coach, can you give me an example? You've coached professionally, you've coached college athletes, you've coached high school and youth athletes. As a coach, can you give me an example of what it looks like to be intentional with your relationships, especially as you're coaching athletes?
Yeah, I mean, as I'm thinking through this, the most impactful one that really comes to mind is actually a relationship that I developed with one of my younger athletes. So it was my first year coaching youth sports, really in a team context. And there was this one kid who you could just tell, like, just it was 13U baseball, and he just wasn't comfortable really in his own skin. He didn't have that confidence. He didn't know how to use his voice. He didn't seem comfortable around other kids his age. And so for me, I could flag that right away and say, hey, like, I want to pour into this kid. I want to make sure that, like, yeah, he's developing as a baseball player, but I want to make sure that he's feeling confident as a human being, that he feels connected to this group of players he was with. And for me, at the time, again, I didn't know him very well at the start of our relationship, at the start of the team. But just trying to speak identity into him. And we've talked about this on previous episodes, but like, I basically came up with a nickname for this kid so that it would help create an identity for him that wasn't based in fear or wasn't based in like anxiety. It was like, hey, let me try to like speak some life and encouragement into you, something that you may not yet believe about yourself, but like eventually you're going to get to this point. I'm not going to use his name or use a nickname that I use for him for privacy reasons, but even at that young age, or maybe especially at that young age, is like just being able to speak life and encouragement into that person, right? Number one is you have to be aware of those people around you who may be needing extra help, who may need you to go out of your way to make them feel comfortable or whatever it is. But then from there, again, like try to develop that relationship, try to get close to them, try to speak life into them, and from there, like the relationship can grow. But that's one that definitely speaks to me. I think that's probably one that speaks to me most out of all the relationships that I built. From younger kids, 12, 13 years old, to high school, to college, and even the professional level.
Yeah, that's good. Coaches take notes, speak life, be an encouragement, build up your players' identity, their confidence, help care about them off the field as well. More importantly than on the field. Okay, so number 2, guys, second non-negotiable here with our relationships. We want to be a fountain, not a drain. Okay, we got to become a fountain. So what does that mean practically? Everyone can imagine a fountain full of water. If water comes up from the inside, it overflows over the top. That's what we want to be. We want to have these good qualities, this character, this integrity, these intangibles inside of us. And then we can now pour into the lives of the people around us. We don't want to become a drain where a drain just sucks things in internally to itself, right? We don't want to be that. In our relationships, we need to learn how to serve, to sacrifice, to be there for people around us and just overflow all the good things that God's placed inside of us, all the good work that we've put in to become the person that we want to become. We want to just splash that over on the top of other people that come into contact with us. Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, number
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. All right, number 3, last one here is we have to build trust. We're going to go through kind of 3 subpoints here, but the main idea is we have to build trust. That's the key to developing really good relationships. So the first subpoint here is we have to care for other people. We have to do that authentically. So Philippians 2:3 says this: do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. So we have to understand that as we're walking through life, as we're trying to develop these relationships, it's not about you. It's putting your time and attention into other people and how you can grow other people and the relationship.
Yeah, that's really good because I think people can really easily see that. What's your ambition? What's your desire? What's your priorities? People can
Yeah.
feel that. People will feel very quickly and very easily if your desire and your ambition is selfish, if your desire ambition is for them and for other people and the good of others. So learn to cultivate that good ambition that's going to help drive and build that trust.
Yeah. Good. Number 2, second subpoint is integrity. We have to have integrity. Okay? Matthew 5:7 says this: let your yes be yes and your no be no. So essentially, we just have to do what we say we're going to do. It's as simple as that, right? So we're going to show up. We're going to be there for other people, and people can bank on that. People can trust that, right? If you continuously do what you say you're going to do, people are going to start to trust you. Right? Last part here is we have to be vulnerable. We have to be authentic. So people are going to respect us for our strengths, but most of the time, people actually connect with us because of our weaknesses and things that we're not great at. So every single human being is flawed. I'm flawed. You're flawed. We don't have to act like we're perfect. We don't have to pretend that everything's going well, right? But by being authentic and being vulnerable, we're actually inviting people into our circle. And because of that, their guard can be let down. People know what they're getting. There isn't a false front where people have to navigate around to really understand who they're talking with or who they're dealing with. So being vulnerable, being authentic are really important. Right. And so just to wrap up that section here, again, the 3 non-negotiables for building really good relationships: be intentional, be a fountain and not a drain. And then the third one is where we have to build trust.
Awesome. Yeah, our next 3 pillars, our last 3 are a little bit different. They're a little more physiological, a little bit more about our bodies, how we take care of them, and how that affects the type of athlete, coach, leader, competitor, person that we are. So number 5, guys, our 5th pillar is nutrition. Nutrition. Mike, you have the nutrition training background. You have a little more educational experience and credibility here in this area. I have a lot of personal, real life, lived experience and research and transformation. So, Mike, you want to just break down nutrition for us here real quick?
Yeah, one thing I want to say first here is in all the time that I've dealt with personal one-on-one coaching clients or baseball athletes, this is probably the one where people are the least bought in on. Maybe it's because they enjoy the food that they eat so much and they don't want to make that change. Maybe they just don't see the importance of it. But with all the guys that I work with, whether it's again the one-on-one performance coaching or whether it's on the baseball side of things, we have conversations. People are not bought into this and the importance of nutrition, which is sad. I mean, this is really important. You've seen, and we'll talk about this some more, but you've seen it. I've seen it in our own lives, how important nutrition is and how much it can make or break your health, your performance on the field, your longevity, et cetera. But we have to think of food as more than fuel. It's more than just whatever we put in our body. It's more than calories, right? We have to nourish our bodies with nutrient dense, life giving foods so that we can experience optimal health, so we can have good energy levels, so we can live vitally, perform vitally. Again, we talk about legacy. It's not just about on the field, it's about down the road and how we can faithfully live out our mission till the day we die. And nutrition is a big part of that. So, in today's world, fast food, cheap processed food is just easy. It's cheap and it's the norm. Most people do it. Like I said, there's so many people that I talk to where food is just food. It's whatever you put in your body. It's not a big deal. Um, but we're seeing so many instances of chronic illness, of injuries, of just being tired, or inflamed, stressed. Like all of these things add up, and a lot of it has to do with the food that we're putting in our body. So, with that being said, we'll move on to the three non-negotiables here of nutrition. So, number one, kind of touched on it already, but we want to eat real food. That's the most important thing, real whole food. So we don't have to worry about being super dogmatic with diets, right? We don't have to be keto. We don't have to be carnivore. We don't have to be vegan. There's elements of all of those things that are really good. And I think it can be individualized. But at the very core of it, we want to eat real food. We want to eat whole foods. And that's pretty much the baseline there. Nick,
Yeah,
so
for me, guys, I started to get into nutrition as a young professional athlete. I was looking for an edge, an opportunity to become bigger, faster, stronger, more competitive on the field. That's kind of how my journey personally started. And what I started to realize was like, oh man, like I'm now a professional athlete. I'm playing baseball every single day. I need a way to recover and heal at a high level. So I started to learn how to eat the right way. Wasn't always great at the beginning, but I kept learning as I went. And then something really interesting and weird happened. When I was in my mid 20s, about 25, 26 years old, I started to develop kind of out of nowhere this really bad, like acid reflux, GI symptoms, heartburn. And it was, if you guys have ever had that, it can be super debilitating. So I couldn't even lay down flat to go to sleep. It will keep me up at night, which obviously sleep affects how you feel the next day, your energy, your mood, your recovery, your performance. It affects all of that. So it affected my sleep, affected my appetite. I didn't really want to eat much because I had this burning sensation all the time. So I ended up losing a bunch of weight because I wasn't eating enough. And so it kind of came to a point where I was like, man, like this is really starting to affect how I'm doing on the field, affect my life off of it. I need to go see somebody. I need to get this thing checked out. So the Diamondbacks hooked me up with GI specialists here in the Phoenix area when I was playing for the team. I go to see this guy. We do an endoscopy. So he put you to sleep, put the tube, the camera down your throat, check out your esophagus, your stomach, all this stuff. And I remember specifically waking up. I shared the story of waking up out of surgery for my hip. I remember waking up out of this procedure, not really surgery, but procedure. And I remember the doctor coming in and just giving me a bottle of pills and saying, hey, you have this thing called GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. And I was like, a disease? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I was fully healthy like 3-4 months ago with no symptoms. And now I just have a disease out of nowhere. And he was like, yeah, sometimes it happens. You don't really know why. Here's some pills. You're going to have to be on these for the rest of your life. And he walked out of the room. And I was like, what in the world just happened? Like, are you kidding me? And so I went home with it and I was like, man, like I got to figure this out to not only become a better baseball player, but actually to sleep and thrive and be a healthy human. So I started to dig and do some research and think about, what could have caused this and just ask questions and, figure out how it could get better. And what I started to do was realize that there were certain foods and things I was doing that were triggering this acid reflux, that were causing it. And that if I started to remove and eliminate those triggers, I actually started to feel better. So what I did is I changed my diet. I changed my lifestyle. I stopped eating heavy meals. I stopped eating as much, fatty processed food. I stopped eating so close to bedtime. I stopped having as much coffee and stopped drinking wine and citrus and tomato foods that really were irritating me at the time personally. And as soon as I started to pull these things out, I was like, oh my goodness, I feel alive again. I feel like I can eat and sleep and have energy to go out and perform on the field. So, after 3 months' time, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not here giving medical advice. I'm just sharing my own personal story and transformation. Once I started to put more real whole foods into my body and take out the stuff that wasn't good for me, my system had a chance to heal. Real food can actually heal. And what it did was it gave me the opportunity to kind of calm that inflammation down, to heal my esophagus, heal my gut. And then I started to, man, it's like, okay, I feel better. And I kept going with it and kept going with it. And then after 3 or 4 months, all the symptoms were gone, never taken a pill since. And it's like, oh my goodness, the power of real food and what it can do for not only your performance, but all of your health and life is amazing. Okay. So if you don't eat real food and you're consistently eating fast food, and we know it can be hard, we know it can be addictive. There's companies out there that are actually trying to addict you to their food. Be aware of that and be an informed consumer when you make food choices. Okay.
Yeah.
So moving on to our second non-negotiable, we need to hydrate well, guys. As an athlete, as a coach, as a human, hydration is so important for us. When we're dehydrated, it can actually reduce our physical performance and endurance. So even relative modest dehydration can make exercise and competition, particularly in heat or prolonged, competition or games or exercise. It can reduce our capacity. It can reduce our ability to just go out and do what we're called to do. So it actually takes our plasma and blood volume down. It increases the strain on our heart, our cardiovascular strain, which makes it harder for our heart to then pump and deliver blood to our muscles, our body, or things that we need it to do. So dehydration also impairs our focus, our attention, our cognitive function, our ability to make good decisions. So there's a meta-analysis. I saw this in PubMed, a meta-analysis of 33 different studies on hydration. It found that dehydration was associated with impairments to attention, executive function, and motor coordination. Okay. 3 big things. If you're an athlete, a baseball player, you need to make good decisions. You need to have motor function. You need to have attention and focus on what's happening in front of you. So it only needed 2% dehydration. So 2% loss in fluid level, and all these negative things started to happen. So it's a really small thing. Now, dehydration also, guys, we've all experienced this. When we're dehydrated, we get more fatigued. Everything seems harder. We get headaches, all these negative things downstream. So focus on your hydration, drink enough water, make sure it's purified and filtered. Try to avoid plastic with it. Put it in a good stainless steel or glass bottle. Add some good quality electrolytes that don't have sugar and artificial crap in them. And watch how much your body and your performance start to improve and get better.
Yeah. So the takeaway there is hydrate, guys. Hydrate. Super important. All right. Last one here. Third non-negotiable for nutrition. Know your goals and create a plan. I'm not going to spend too much time here. Very simple, right? We have to be intentional with the food that we're putting in our bodies. It comes to meal planning, it comes to meal prep. We have to know the specific goals that we want. And then based on those goals, we can now create a plan. Based on that plan, we can come up with, hey, I need to eat this, this, and this. And then that's where meal prepping and meal planning comes in. Very important. Okay. So it takes time, it takes effort, extra effort and energy, but very, very important for you guys to do that.
Yeah, that's good. So whether you're trying to gain more muscle mass, whether you're trying to recover better and heal from an injury, whether you're trying to lose weight, whatever your goals are, that's going to instruct, like Mike's saying, the choices that you make and the food that you put into your body. Yep. Okay, moving on, guys. This one hits on physiological again, but our 6th pillar is fitness. Okay, we need to train our bodies to be strong, capable, resilient, and able to do the tasks that we're asking it to do. So whatever life demands, whatever your sport demands, we need to get in that gym. We need to move some weight. We need to train our bodies in a way where we can just actually show up bigger, faster, stronger, more resilient to our life, to our sport. So movement, guys, is actually more than strength too. It's actually medicine. It can heal your body. It can help you to feel great. It can improve your cognitive function. And again, guys, there's just like nutrition, there's no dogmatic, perfect, one-size-fits-all fitness program that's best for me, for you, Mike, for whoever's listening to this. You have to know your goals. You have to be intentional about what you need to try to get out of it. So we'll go through quickly 3 non-negotiables here. Number 1, you got to be strong. Okay, you got to be strong. So you got to train in the gym. You got to lift weights under the guidance of a well-instructed and researched and good strength and conditioning coach. You have to learn the right techniques, but you have to be able to pick up weight and move weight to get stronger and, just develop the physicality you need to do what life and your sport asks you to do. Number 2, we talk about right here is building your engine. So we need a cardiovascular fitness level that's going to provide us the ability to, sustain the endurance we need for our sport, to be strong in our life, to sleep better. There's so many performance, health, and longevity benefits from building that engine and having good cardiovascular fitness. So whether it's running, sprints, longer distance, biking, treadmill, cycling, swimming, you can actually build your engine through circuits in the weight room and different things like that as well. So a million different options here, but really attack your cardiovascular fitness here. And number 3 is functional. We have to stay functional. Okay. If we don't move in a healthy way, if we don't maintain the range of motion and flexibility and mobility required for what we're asking our bodies to do, we're going to end up injured. We're going to end up, not being able to perform and do the things that we need to do. So for me, guys, as a pro athlete, it took me a long time to learn. As a young athlete through high school and college and even early minor league days, I was just lifting to get strong, very big, powerlifting, football type, movements. And I got really big and really strong, back squats and power cleans and all these big compound movements, which put on strength, it put on power, it put on size, but it ended up getting me hurt and getting me injured. So I ended up losing range of motion in my shoulders and my hips and my spine. I had bad knee issues. There was all kinds of downstream effects that happened because I wasn't training functionally. I wasn't training my body to be able to handle what baseball and what being a pro athlete was asking it to do. So as I transitioned into becoming a well-informed and smarter professional athlete, I started to train more functionally. I still dosed in the heavy deadlifting and the things like that, but I did a lot of other things too that were more rotationally based, more core based, more mobility and range of motion based. So once I started to do that, my body got better, my performance got better, and just had less pain in general as well.
Yeah, that's great, Bo. Tons of wisdom in there. Last pillar right here, we're going to talk through recovery. Right? So what is recovery? It's essentially the process of restoring the body and mind to adapt, to rebuild, thrive, and come back stronger. So a lot of times it's overlooked, but it's one of the most crucial aspects of health and elite performance. So for us to maximize our abilities on the field, live well, feel good, have the energy, we have to balance the stress of competition, the stress of training with actual recovery. So we can only grow stronger if we're able to adapt to the demands of competition and training. That's important to note. We can only grow stronger if we're able to adapt to the demands of competition and training. So the adaptations don't happen while you're working, while you're awake, but they happen when you're sleeping and when you're recovering. Okay. So getting to the 3 non-negotiables of recovery. Number 1, sleep, sleep, sleep. So we have to prioritize sleep. Good sleep quality, good sleep quantity, right? That is non-negotiable. You want to dive into, I know this is a big one for you and you've had kind of some experience around sleep. You want to dive into what it means to you?
Yeah, just like nutrition and fitness, there's such a stigma around sleep at times. Like it's got to be this, it's got to be that. People don't prioritize it the way they should. I definitely didn't when I was younger. I was a night owl. I wanted to stay up late. I didn't get, tired really easily. But as I got older, I dove into the research. I started reading the books. I learned that, okay, if I'm going to really push myself in the gym, I'm going to play hard out in the field, I need to sleep to be able to recover, to get my mind and body ready for that next day. So we talk about sleep as being important. There's also little hacks and different things you can do, but prioritizing good quality and quantity of sleep is super important. As I got older, I read a lot of the research and I realized that there's a window between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., a 4-hour window where your body maximizes the recovery. So no matter what you're doing, you got to try to prioritize that 10 to 2 window. Try to get to bed earlier than you're actually getting to bed. Turn off the electronics, make the room in a good spot so you can do that. We'll talk about regulation of the nervous system here in a minute. But sleep is so important, especially that deep sleep window and that 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. window where your body can regenerate, it can heal, it can take those micro tears in your muscles from your gym session and actually heal them and get them better. So Mike, you got a great recovery pyramid in our app, our training app. You want to just kind of talk about the importance of how you broke that down and why you put sleep where you did on there?
Yeah, sure. So the recovery pyramid, just a great visual of how we need to prioritize our recovery. So the base of the pyramid, the biggest one, the foundation piece is sleep. That is the non-negotiable. So if we're doing all the other things above that, modalities, treatments, etc., to try to get better recovery, but you're not getting in sleep, you're doing it wrong. But
Yeah.
Number 1, if you do nothing else, you just have to get sleep right. And then as we move up, right, we talk about stress management, we talk about proper nutrition. Those things are going to help you actually put your body, breath work, all these modalities, they're going to help put your body in a state that's primed for sleep, that's primed for recovery. So there are things that we can do that are going to help our body sleep better. There's things that are going to do that are going to help our body physically recover. But it all comes back to sleep, and that has to be the foundation of that recovery pyramid.
Yep, that's good. Okay, our second non-negotiable here, we have to respect rest. We have to respect rest. Even while we're awake, we can't push our bodies to complete exhaustion, complete exertion at all times. We have to rest while we're awake. We have to do things on a day-to-day basis to help our bodies to heal and recover. So for me, guys, I was really bad at this. I didn't like resting. I don't like putting my feet up. I don't like that kind of stuff. But as a high level athlete, I had to do it, right? I had to make sure that the time I was away from the field was a time where I could rejuvenate, I could heal, I could rest, I could recover. So I had to be smart and intentional. Okay. I had to wrestle and play on the floor with my kids, but I also had to make sure that, hey, there was some movie nights mixed in. There was some time, where I take a nap occasionally. I'd, go to bed early. I do these things where I learn to respect rest and know that it's really important for my mind, my body, my health in general.
Yeah, I
Okay. Our
think
third non-negotiable here is
too is I think there's a good perspective shifter around that is rest is not for those who are lazy, but for type A competitive athletes, elite athletes, we have to think of rest as part of the work, right? It's part of your body of work that's going to prepare you, right? So it's not that we're doing it to be lazy or to get away from work. We have to change our perspective and think that the rest is part of the work that we need to do.
Great mindset shift right there. Really good. Okay, our last one here, our last non-negotiable is regulate. We have to learn how to regulate our nervous system to intentionally shift our body and mind from a stressful sympathetic state to one that is in parasympathetic, which is our rest and digest state. So learning how to control and positively influence our nervous system is hard, but it's worth it. We have to do it. We have to learn how to use our breath, how to practice gratitude, how to pray, how to use nature and get outside, laughter, all these different things that can influence our nervous system and help regulate us and help us to recover and heal quicker and faster and more efficiently, guys. So, okay, those are our 7 pillars. Okay, we intentionally chose them. It took us a long time. How long did it take us, Mike? Almost a year to really nail down the 7?
It was a while. Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah, so a lot of intentionality, a lot of purpose behind each one of these 7 pillars. And Mike, you want to just wrap it up and just kind of give a high level overview again of like what 7 pillars are about, why we're holistic and not just a performance company?
Yeah, definitely. So the overall theme that we talked about is all of life and our performance. It's all interconnected, right? So it starts with identity. Who we are determines how we think. How we think determines the habits that we create. The habits we create attract the right people into our lives. The people we surround ourselves with impact our nutritional choices. Nutrition affects energy and how we train our bodies, which is our fitness levels. Again, our physical fitness is maximized through recovery. So that's kind of the funnel and how we see and understand the 7 pillars. Each one of those is important. Each one of those is integrated and connected to the other pillars. So if we're missing some of these pillars, we're not prioritizing some of these pillars, right? There's a missing link in the chain, or there's a crack in a wall, there's a crack in the foundation. So on a final note, wrapping up the 7 pillars is we do have to understand that if we want to be elite performers, if we want to leave a lasting legacy, we have to value and pursue excellence in all of these 7 pillars. They're all connected, they're all integrated, and they're going to provide us value right now and down the road if we value them.
Yep. So good. So good. And as we wrap up every episode, we've done it with the first 9. We're going to do it here with number 10 and going to continue to give you guys a challenge at the end of every episode. We reference, guys, it passes out of James. We want to be hearers of the word, but we also want to be doers of the word, guys. We can't deceive ourselves and think that we're just listening, we're getting better. We have to actually take what we listen to, what we read, what we watch, all the things that are geared toward helping us perform and live at a higher plane and higher level. We have to put them into action, guys. So that's why we have a challenge for you every week. And our 7-pillar challenge this week, guys, we're calling it the 7-pillar audit. The 7-pillar audit. So we want you guys to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for each of the 7 pillars. Okay. And then after you do that, look at your 2 strongest pillars and your 2 weakest pillars. Okay. Look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses, become aware, and then ask yourself, what if I brought my 2 weakest pillars up just by a couple points on that rating scale? 1 to 10. If they were a 3 or 4 on that scale of out of 10, if I brought it to a 5 or a 6, how would that improve my life, my performance, my ability to make an impact and leave a legacy in this life? So as we wrap up, guys, these episodes take a lot of time, a lot of preparation, as you guys can tell. We want this to be high level and impactful for you. And if there's anybody in your life you guys think that this could be impactful for, please share it out. Please send it to someone you know. And we want you guys to subscribe so you never miss an episode. So please go ahead and do that now, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Please subscribe, please follow this, and tune in every Tuesday as we continue to drop a new episode for you.
Thank you for tuning in with us today. If this episode brought you value, please share it with someone in your circle who needs to hear this message. Be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode, and don't forget to leave a rating and review. Every share, follow, and review helps us reach more people and make a greater impact. Because at the end of the day, this is about more than content. It's about growth, purpose, and stepping fully into who you were created to be.